There's only one thing I'm going to cover in government spending, and that is the relationship between the trade cycle, also known as the business cycle, also known as the economic cycle. Sorry, don't shoot the messenger. What is the effect of this cycle on government spending? So I don't know how familiar you guys are with the cycle, but like I said at the start, this should still make sense because it's pretty simple. So the trade cycle, the business cycle, or the economic cycle is best illustrated through this diagram. So I'm going to show the trade cycle, the economic cycle, business cycle on a diagram. That's it. Okay, that is it. And you can do, if you want, well, it's not essential. You can do a trend line like that. And if you do that, you would call this actual. So what happens is pretty much all across the world, economies go up, have a boom, then they go down, then they go up, then they go down. So you've got this constant fluctuation between boom, recession, but notice the long-term trend is up. So eventually, even though you have a recession here, you're still better off than you were maybe 50 years ago, right? So the long-term trend is up. It's not smooth. It's not a nice smooth line like the red one. So okay, this is the economic cycle, and again, there's a lot of really interesting stuff about this phenomenon. But all we want to focus on is how does this affect government spending? Okay, and it's actually really simple. Let's call this the boom or the peak. Okay, so in the boom and in the recession or depression, just think about what's going to happen to the necessity for government spending, right? If you're in a boom, that implies the economy is doing very well. So possibly a lot of people have jobs, not many people unemployed, more people able to afford private healthcare or private schools. What logically, therefore, is going to happen to the need for the government to spend when the economy is doing really well? Any ideas? Niati says decrease, spot on, Drew. Decrease, yes, less spending, more income. So this is effectively it. This is effectively it, right? It's really nice and simple. In the peak, in the boom, government spending tends to decrease because a lot of the sources of government spending are going to naturally reduce. And I think a really good one to think about is unemployment benefits, right? So in a boom, there's not going to be that many people unemployed. So whether the government chooses to or not, and this is actually a key point, this idea of what they choose or don't choose in this case, whether they choose to or not, government spending is going to go down in a boom because they're not going to need to spend as much to support, say, the unemployed or poorer members of the population. Whereas in a recession, what's going to happen? Just the opposite. People will lose their jobs. More people will start applying for unemployment benefits. And again, that's not, think very importantly about this, that's not the government's choice. They're not like, when this happens, the government isn't saying, we're going to spend more on unemployment benefits. It's actually, they have to spend more on unemployment benefits just because more people are unemployed and more people are applying. The only way they could not spend more on unemployment benefits is if they reduce the amount they give per person, but that's a whole new set of factors, right? Set of variables. So effectively, in our recession, government spending is naturally going to go up because, for example, more people will start claiming unemployment benefits. This is really easy. And what I wanted to point out today, because you might be thinking like, okay, yeah, this makes sense. Why are we doing this? What I wanted to point out today is what I want you to think about. This is actually a really clever system for balancing out the economy. And I'm going a bit more advanced than we need to get, but I think it's really, really useful to get an idea of at this early point. Can anyone tell me what they think aggregate demand is going to be like in a boom versus a recession, like high or low? In which one is aggregate demand going to be high, and is which one is aggregate demand going to be low? Should we expect, perhaps? So yes, lot of good answers coming in. So AD you would typically expect to be very high here. AD high, and then a lot of the time, not always, but a lot of the time, a big contributor to a recession is a big fall in AD. So a lot of the time, in a recession or in the truck light, AD is going to be very low. Often that's the whole cause of the recession. So then think about what this does to AD in the recession. If G increases, what's going to happen automatically to AD? It will go, it's just come down in the recession, but thank you, Niati, it will go back up, right? So again, I'm kind of assuming you've got your basic like AD equation sorted, but in the recession, the automatic increase in government spending is going to help push the economy back up. And can anyone tell me what's going to happen in a boom then? That might be quite useful. In a boom, you often have problems with inflation, where there's too much spending, too much investment, and so you end up with very rapid price increases. So, what is the decrease in government spending going to do in a boom? Jenna, thank you. Yes, a lot of people getting there. So, it's effectively going to stabilize the economy. In the boom, government spending will automatically fall, and that's going to help bring AD down. And you might be thinking, why would we want to do that? But it's to prevent too much inflation. And in your recession, the increase in government spending is going to start pushing AD back up when you really need a little push to AD. So I wanted to bring this up just because is it not really interesting how we've set our society up in this way? That we've invented this sort of system, and obviously it has other benefits and possible drawbacks when it comes to like keeping unemployed people fed and making sure they can live some sort of dignified life, blah blah blah. But is it not very interesting that there's this sort of really really beneficial side effect of this system, where kind of like when the economy's overheating in this boom period, AD naturally falls because government spending naturally falls, and that helps sort of stop you overheating. And when it's getting too cold, to continue that metaphor, when the economy is freezing, government spending is automatically going to rise. Stoke the flames a bit, add some heat to the fire, and push things back up. And if you think about it, what this system of is called automatic stabilizer. Hopefully, you can see why it would be called an automatic stabilizer. What this automatic stabilizer does is it smooths out the trade cycle, makes it a little flatter. So again, this is quite advanced, to be honest, for what you guys have done now. But I think it's a really useful concept. And it adds a bit to G, which is probably like the unloved component of AD. It's definitely one of the middle childs in the AD family. So a good way to expand your knowledge of G and help you maybe again expand more when you talk about it in your essays and things like this.